regretted that she didn't. But she was happy, so that's what was important.
Absolutely, absolutely. The I'm one of the things that was so I mean, like your early life, as you talked about it, um, like you say, like the values kind of like that hard work and whatever. But to remind what it seemed to me like, okay, this is the thing. I apologize for taking time to figure out how to say this, but this is the thing. When my mom grew up on a scratch farm in Ohio, like in the eastern counties, and then she moved into town and she met my dad, who was inner city Irish. He's not a, but anyway, and so then they uh, eventually got married and built a house out in Claremont County, and that's where I grew up. And so, like I heard stories from my husband, Ernie Minnick, when he was still alive, about growing up in coal camp and then where his grandparents lived and how they were on a farm and like they just had to make everything to or do without. It's like, and it didn't. What it sounded to me like as you were talking was that it must have been a very rural area. Like, what did you? The name of your place was not Spring Grove.
Union Grove.
Union Grove. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very rural. And most roads weren't paved. We had dirt roads.
And you pretty much grew everything you needed.
We grew everything we ate. And we had pigs and hogs, and killing hog day was a big day for Appalachian people. And they usually did it on about the coldest day in the winter, I guess, to preserve the meat and so forth. But, 2 or 3 neighbors would come and they would help with all of that and try to, it was a big undertaking to do all of that. And of course they also had, raised cows, and some raised beef cows. And so they would, kill their beef cows for food. But our meat came with us was pork with the hogs. And it was really good to have your own hams and bacon and sausage and
yes,
all
exactly.
good stuff. And my mother was a great cook. And we had, fruit trees, so we always had cobblers, and she made all sorts of jellies, and she knew how to make everything. Really, I don't know. It's just that's another kind of quality of these old Appalachian people, mountain people. They can cook and they know how to do everything.
Absolutely.
They had these old homemade remedies.
Of everything too.
You what? Excuse me.
Use all the parts of everything too.
Oh yeah, no, you don't throw away anything. You got to save it. My dad, he was an environmentalist before it was really popular to be one. He saved everything, and my mom did too. Oh, that'll come in handy sometime. And so, sure enough, it would. So really, they taught me that too, to not throw things away, and I'm talking about, just putting it in a landfill.
Mm-hmm.
They were always thinking, where's that going to go? And what's that going to do to the birds? Or what's that's going to do to my dad and mom were way ahead of their time with those kinds of ideas and beliefs, I think.
Yes.
And with me, if you just look around, you see things that are wrong, and you can write about it or talk about it. And if you really have the time, I think we should try to do something about it. One of my songs that I like a lot is "They're Blasting Down Our Beautiful Mountains." And I sing that song for all the people over there in Appalachia, like especially in West Virginia and in Eastern Kentucky, who've had their beautiful mountains. That's one of the things that they've had. They're so poor. One of the things that they do have is their beautiful country. And those mountains are wonderful and beautiful. And then here come the coal companies in there and just blast those tops of those mountains down. Now they'll never be back. And so I just love singing that song.
That back again.
Excuse me.
No one can make that back again. It's not like they like that
gone.
Reclaiming or whatever. It doesn't do anything.
Gone forever.
It was destroyed. Yeah,
I know. And my singing about it doesn't help, I guess, except it just, it gives the people that have lost it a good feeling, and it helps them to know that there's somebody there that, notices it and would like to do something about it. And maybe it's getting a little bit better with the coal mining and so forth. Hopefully
Well,
we won't be using coal too much longer.
well, I mean, there's that. I mean, and of course, there are people that, for better or worse, on the one hand, it's like kind of that weighing out, like losing your livelihood, but then on the other hand, like losing the earth in a way. And
Yeah.
you can't, that, there's no balance. But I thought that the president administration and some of the folks that are certainly trying to help things move to a different place are looking at different jobs or opportunities or
I hope they are as well. And they say they are. And there would be a lot of other jobs and whatever, and getting new types of fuel,
energy and
energy. Yeah, that's the word. And it doesn't have to be from coal. It shouldn't have been from coal all this time.
all these times.
And right. But the people that had the power and the control were the oil and gas people, and that's what did it. And even those kinds of things go on today. People in power aren't always the ones that are the best people.
Right.
And sometimes the people, it just upsets me that so many people vote against their best interest. And you
That's
see
always
that.
a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, they
Like
just don't understand. Oh gosh, they just support what's going to hurt them more and keep them down. And a lot of it, I was thinking, one time, well, all my family was Republicans. And I know this is not a political type of thing that you're doing, but they were all Republicans. And I went off to school and I majored in health and physical education because I wanted to be a coach. But I also majored in history, and I took a lot of government and political science and every workshop and seminar I could. And by the time I left Western Carolina, I was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. But my mom and dad, they still let me come home.
And we're glad every time, I'm sure.
What happened to you? They said, what have they taught you? I said, well, they didn't teach me anything like that. They just taught me facts, and then they let us interpret them the way we want. But I was thinking that, most people stay whatever they were born, whatever their parents were. I
think our generation might have cut that mold. Like,
I hope so. And I hope it does now. I hope it does now for sure. Don't think about what somebody else is. Think about what you think you should be and what you want to be. And what's,
That one of the things that I was struck by a little bit was, the Black Lives Matter movement and the marches and all of that. There were so many young people that were right out there.
Oh yeah, gosh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
They really were, and I was happy to see that too.
Absolutely.
It showed just how many people in this country really want things to be equal and proper and right.
Exactly.
And one day maybe it will be.
Hopefully.
There's still a long way to go. Long way to go for women's rights, and a long way to go for Black or any people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to always see that. I think everyone should be treated the same with equal rights.
Yes, I agree.
I know most people would say they agree, but gosh, look at the people that don't believe that. And it's hard for me to believe there are people that don't believe it.
I guess maybe this is something I need to meditate on more or something, but one of the things that I think maybe, well, I'll, if you don't mind, I'll just say it, I'll go off on a little side tangent, and hopefully they won't.
Then go right ahead.
Well, but it's for most of my life, and certainly, my husband was also involved in work in inner city and working with poor people, and particularly starting out in Over the Rhine, the primary port of entry for Appalachian people. And then I guess most of my life, even though I've had connection to Over the Rhine, was in Lower Price Hill. And it was primarily at that time of the 80s and 90s or whatever, generally speaking, low income, urban Appalachian people. And so one of the things I guess that I always thought was important was opportunity, that people have opportunity to make their own choices. You know, if they had an education, and like, you know, one of the things that was a big issue in the 80s was like so many people in the 70s and before that, so many people dropping out of school. So we set up a whole network of adult education programs. And so people could go back and get their GEDs or whatever and get into a job, you know, but if they chose not to do that, then, you know, they could still live a decent life in their own, you know, whatever. But then, I guess the part I'm getting to is that while it's like sometimes I guess I feel like that I guess that I wish that it was, you know, there are the issues of sex and sexism, the issues of race and racism, the issues of poverty are critical issues, and they cut across all of that. But I think that a lot of times, like you say, people end up voting against their own interests because they feel like if they vote one way, you know, somebody else is going to take what little they've got, or not even, you know, it's very concerning.
Oh, it surely
I
is.
don't know if you made any sense of that, but hopefully.
I did. I enjoy listening to you talk. And I think you have great ideas. But I think that, you know, people don't study the issues like they should. And so they don't realize they're voting against their best interest because they don't really know what the issues are, other than that their parents are for that. You know, my parents are for this. And we've always been Republican, and we're going to stay Republican. Or we've always been Democrat, we're going to stay Democrat. That's about the awfulest reason to be doing anything. And so, you know, instead of, you know, looking at the issue and seeing how you think that's going to help people, even if most people too, not just myself, we should, I think, look at how it's going to help most people, the country at large. But it just seems like so many don't even give it a thought. They just pick personalities or something and they just stick with them. And I don't know what we can do about that, but what they need more education is really important, no matter what it is we're trying to do. People need to know and be open to learning and changing, open to change. That's so important too.
But it's a lot, I mean, it causes a lot of fear. I mean, there are people, you know, any kind of change just strikes terror.
Oh gosh, yes, you know, back when I was at Union Grove High School, you know, John F. Kennedy was running for president. And, you know, that was the thing. Well, I never met a Catholic. I worked all my career at Mount St. Joseph, but I never met Catholics in the South. I know there were some, but I never met them. And, they just didn't want John F. Kennedy, not because he didn't know how to do this or didn't want this or that, but because he was Catholic. And I had an uncle come to visit us, he and his wife, and she was a school teacher, and they started in on that. And I was a teenager then. And I spoke up and I said, well, I think that's just about the worst reason in the world not to vote for him. And I said, how can you feel that way, you know, and be so prejudiced or something? And when they left, oh, my parents got all over me for being so disrespectful because I was just a kid. I shouldn't have been talking to them like that. I said, well, they shouldn't have such archaic beliefs.
You were before your time in many, many ways.
Well, I just didn't like that. And I didn't know any Catholics, but, you know, to me, they were as good as I was. And I was born a Southern Baptist, but I didn't stay that way. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Right, right.
But you know Jeff Day, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He and I belong to the same church.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought Mike kind of maintained his membership or anyway, like
He's
at
a member there too, I
I
suppose.
thought. But I didn't think he
Yeah.
was in the Mount Auburn church. I thought he was down in at the cathedral but I don't know that I don't know for sure. But I know, yeah, Jeff has talked about
Oh yeah.
the church.
I'm real happy with it. But you know, everybody's happy with their religion, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing.
yes,
And you can get in all sorts of trouble talking politics and religion.
that's true. Oh my goodness. So are you and Mike planning another album? I figured we're the part of I should
Oh,
get
I
back
don't know.
on.
We haven't talked about it. It would be interesting to do and fun to do, but I don't know whether that will happen or not. I still talk to Mike a lot and see him every once in a while, but like I say, we haven't done anything. Our last show was a show down in Nashville at a house concert. The daughter of John Hartford. You remember Johnny Hartford? He was always on Glenn Campbell's show.
Oh.
He wrote "Gentle on My Mind," that
Oh.
song, and he played the banjo really well. He had a lot of songs, really. He was a great guy. So we went down to his daughter's place and did a concert there. And that was in 2020. And that's the last time I've done anything with Mike. And in 2021, I only did one concert, and it was the Metamora Music Festival. And other than that, I've just done nothing much.
We were talking about, and I don't, it's like everything is so up in the air for seems like oftentimes, but we were talking about trying another showcase like in the fall. Would you be interested in like at least hearing about it? You certainly hear about, like when the call goes out or however that goes. Like I know that the first showcase, I think John Beal was like
He was in
helping.
charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
He's gone off
I
to
miss
France.
him. I miss him.
Yes,
He's a great guy. Yeah, he's in France, right? Yeah,
He
do you
is.
hear from him? Do you hear from him?
Every once in a while we get an email, but I've not heard any but I know there are some people that were, I think they were, when we did a little goodbye meal celebration for him, before he and his wife went home, they were just, I guess they were just finally selling their house actually at that point. But somebody was talking about going over and visiting, So one of these days, probably we'll hear stories coming back. But
that would be great.
They seem
great to go to France.
Yes, that too. Oh my goodness, that would be exciting.
Yeah, well, I hope you get to do that.
But then the second year that we had the showcase, I think Sherry Cook Stanforth was more the organizer of the musical folks and stuff. So the showcase. So she was kind of talking about trying to see if we could do something again. But if anything comes up along that, I'll definitely make sure that you get a notice about it.
Thank you.
Do you ever like if we would try to have a meeting or a gathering or whatever, do you think you'd ever be able to come and maybe participate?
I think so. I don't see why not.
Okay, so because I've got your email now, and I'd like to make sure that because the other thing I looked for before I went to the internet and looked under your name was I looked in we have a cultural resource directory, and I thought you would probably be in that, but it didn't seem like you were. And so if I talk to our communications person and then could they send you just like a little description of what it is and maybe you would be willing to be a part of the resource?
Oh, sure.
Directory?
I would be happy to. I probably just am not as acquainted with all the things that you do like I should be.
Well, but that's probably on us, right? I mean, the fact of the matter
Not
is,
really.
I mean, it's like, well, it is a two-way street, I guess, but we set up this cultural resource directory, and I think that we put out some, like feelers or little information things or whatever, but it wouldn't have gone to everybody because we don't have everybody's
Yeah. Well, I would be
contact.
happy to participate in that.
Oh, good.
I
good.
think it's important anybody that's interested and have a background as an Appalachian should take part in it.
Oh,
You can
excellent.
always use it forever how you want. But
Well, the other thing is there's probably a link in it, and I can figure out how to send that to you, and you can like look at it and just see what's what. But what it is, it's like there are some people who are writers, some people who are community organizers, some people who are, you know, musical groups or musical people, and like there's all kinds of different. I think Mike Maloney is on there as a lecturer or a researcher or something. Like there's all kinds of
I
different
see,
skills
yeah.
that people can put on or whatever. But you'd be great. I mean, you're a songwriter, you're a musician, performer, and you're actually I expect pretty well still interested in sports.
Oh yeah, I'm much more noted for sports than in music. But people that know me in music don't even realize that, and people that know me in sports don't realize the music. It was interesting when Mike and I released our album. We did that at the Folk School Music Parlor over in Ludlow, Kentucky, and it's not a big venue, but it sold out really fast, and so we had to do 2 shows. But I said people came because they couldn't believe I was doing it, not because they thought we'd be good. They just thought, I can't believe Gene Dowell is doing this. I was even surprising myself. I mean, the first show I went to, I said, what in the world have I done? But I because it's so different too. I'm going to get up in front of all these people and sing. What am I thinking? But I've really enjoyed it. It's been great.
You're wonderful. You're a wonderful performer. I'm surprised that you were even like thinking, oh, should I do this or whatever?
Well, see, never having had done it. I mean, I guess one of the first performances I did was at the Appalachian Festival.
Yes.
And I always say that, well, Mike, he liked my singing and he wanted to do this. And so he scheduled these shows for us, and I figured I'd better show up. and that's kind of the way that first one was. Like, gosh, today is the day I want to go up there and sing in front of all these people. But it worked out fine. I enjoyed it. The people were great. And, this old time stuff, there's a lot more to it than I think any other type of music, any other genre of music. I was singing this song. I can't even think of the name of it now. Hold Fast to the Right. It's an old song. Dolly Parton has sung it in different ones. But this man came up to me after that show, and he was all tearful and could hardly speak. And he said, I haven't heard that song since I was a little boy. My mother sang that song to me. And he said, I thought I would never hear it again. And he was just so happy to have heard that song. And that made me think that the whole thing was worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.